to Menopause Morph, your time to change. We're here to help you thrive through your menopause, bringing you experts in many fields to help you from perimenopause to menopause and beyond to become the strong, vibrant woman nature intended you to be. Hosted by Pauline McCarthy of the Pearls of Pauline, pearls of wisdom, compassion, and joy.
Hello, welcome to this week's Menopause Morph, your time to change. Today we have the lovely lady. She is an author. Her name is Cornelia Ward, and she is a career and business mentor who helps people love Mondays. What does that mean? Well, 80% of people in the Western world wake up in their job and it's just not doing it for them. They're dragging themselves to work. And she thinks this is completely crazy. So do I. Cornelia works with people who make the world a better place, create a transition plan into a career or business that really lights them up so that they're excited to get back to work on Mondays. She has a master's degree in community economic development and has been helping people reach their career goals for over 15 years. Her book, Go Forward Fearlessly, supports people in successfully navigating career and other major life transitions. So Connie, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Pauline. Very fun.
I've been waiting for you for a long time to come on. Because a lot of women have been contacting me and they're having this issue of being in a job that's just driving them crazy, or maybe their parents have forced them into that kind of career. You must go to law school because it's in our genes. You know, the last 5 generations have been lawyers, and like this poor woman is like going to the court and hating every minute of it. So, Connie, could you tell us what kind of symptoms, let's say, that people would look out for to know that they're in the wrong kind of career?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing is that people typically feel really drained at the end of the day. You know, when we're in work, like you and I hopefully love the work we do, at the end of the day, you know, we should feel energized. And because we spent time doing things that we really love to do. And when you're in a career or a business that's just really not working for you, you feel really drained at the end of the day. So that's like a really, really common symptom. Health issues are also really common. So it could be, you know, you're not sleeping well at night. It could be that you feel anxiety or depression. That's really, really common. It could be someone, for instance, maybe they've had a chronic health issue for a while, but it actually gets worse when they start a job that's, you know, just not working for them. It's really, really common for that to happen. So health issues are the most common. And the other thing I would say in terms of symptoms is because, you know, we're talking here about how to have that really fulfilled career and really a wealthy life in a number of different ways, right? So when we're doing the work that we're meant to do, it affects all areas of our life. It affects our health, affects our relationships. I mean, everything just gets better. And so one of those areas that gets better is finances. So when we're doing the work we're meant to do, we are, you know, earning a much better income. You know, everything, we feel better, our energy is higher, we're kind of in the flow or in the zone, so to speak. And that affects our ability to earn more income. Whereas if we're in a job that's not working for us, you know, we feel drained, our energy is not high, and typically that really is clipping our wings in terms of our ability to earn the income that we really deserve to earn.
And is there any magic tricks that we can have, like some kind of secret ingredients for increasing wealth and fulfillment?
Well, and I just kind of alluded to it, is this whole idea of being passionate about what you do, like finding what your passion is. And when we are passionate about the work that we're meant to do, like I love helping people love Mondays. You know, I love helping people, you know, they leave my office, you know, and they light up because they can just see the possibilities for them. So it's really about finding the work that you're meant to do, the work that you feel passionate about. And we all have gifts and talents that we're meant to share with the world. And the world, you know, there's a lot going on in the world right now. It's kind of hard to avoid, even if you're not kind of a news junkie. And really, from my point of view, if each of us is sharing our gifts and talents with the world, we're making the world a better place. And it also, it just enables us to feel happier and wealthier in a number of different ways and feel really passionate. And our that's what makes the world a better place. That's what, enables that to flow really well and kind of be that secret ingredient for us, because the world really needs us right now.
You mentioned about being passionate, but sometimes when I speak to women about this, they say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm passionate about." And is there some kind of trick they can do to sort of write down and find out what they really are passionate? Because I'm sure they really do know, but they just don't know how to get it out.
Exactly. Like life is just so busy, right? Like when do I have time to kind of really think about what I'm passionate about? So I'll give you a couple of ideas. The first one people can do right away. And so if anybody's listening to this and they happen to have paper and pen, a really quick exercise that you can do is think about what's going on out there in the world that really breaks your heart. So it could be, in your neighborhood, right? What's going on in your neighborhood, for instance, that really breaks your heart? What's going on maybe in your family that really breaks your heart? Maybe you have a nephew or a niece and they're struggling as a high school student. Maybe they, have attention deficit disorder and, they're just really struggling through school. Maybe that breaks your heart. That's anything that has kind of that emotional connection where you just go, oh, someone has got to do something about that. Like it just, you just feel that really real emotional connection. That's a great example of something that you feel really passionate about because you really want to alleviate that. So it could be something in your family, for instance, your own family, your personal life. It could be in your neighborhood, your community, out there in the world. Maybe you love animals and don't like to see animals suffer, right? So these are all clues that we actually already have within us, the gifts and talents that we are meant to share with the world that are totally lined up with those things that break our heart. So that's the first thing that people can do right away. The second one, and I think we're going to talk about my book, and I think you mentioned it earlier too, Go Forward Fearlessly. So that book is a free download at my website. And so people can actually go download the book right away. And there's actually a chapter on finding your life purpose. It's called Go for Your Life Purpose. And there are a couple of exercises in that chapter that people can do when they have 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and look at a couple of different ways of identifying the work that they're meant to do. Those are both very helpful.
Some women that I have spoken to about this, they have said, "Oh, like my passion is my dog," right? So just because my brain is not functioning at full capacity, let's just say that, make that not. And then they say, "Oh, but there's no job that I can do concerning dogs." And I think a lot of it, oftentimes it's because they don't know what careers are out there. Like I remember when I was at school, we had this career officer in the school who was meant to guide you to go to a correct career. When I went to her, she said to me, "Oh, there's no point in you coming to me. You're going to university. And so that's your course laid out." And I went, "Yeah, but when I finish university, what am I going to do with my life?" And she wasn't interested. She just wanted to tell people, "Oh, you can work in a garage, or you can work in a bakery, or you can be a hairdresser." And so where can people get advice on what kind of jobs are actually available?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, you may want to just do kind of an internet search, for instance, in your local area and see what kind of jobs are available. Like if you're passionate about animals, maybe the passion is your dog. Well, that may be that there are jobs in your particular area or even online that are connected to animals. The other thing that you can do is you can basically make a laundry list of different areas. Like let's say you do the break your heart exercise, and let's say you come up with 2 or 3 things that you feel passionate about. So what you can do is once you have those 3 things is you can brainstorm a list of people who are doing work in those particular areas. And then when you go out, so let's say it is about animals, so that's one of the things you feel passionate about, animals. And so you brainstorm a list. Well, I know somebody who is a veterinarian. I know somebody who's an animal trainer. I know somebody who's a groomer and has their own business. I know someone, for instance, who maybe works, kind of for one of the global nonprofits for animal rights, that kind of thing. So you can make that laundry list. And then if you know the person, you can reach out to them directly, or you can ask your friends, do you know somebody who works for a nonprofit that helps animals, for instance? And what you do is when you connect with those people, you do an informational interview and you collect information from them about, so, what's it like to day to have do this kind of work? Why did you decide to do this kind of work? What did you wish you knew when you started work as a veterinarian that you now know, but you wish you'd known in the beginning? What are the pitfalls? What's a good day look like? What's a bad day look like? What are the credentials you need to be a veterinarian? So informational interviews are a great way to get some really concrete, really grounded advice from people in the fields that you're considering. And people love to be interviewed. People love to have their advice, people to ask their advice about something, and so that they can, basically share and be the expert and help you out. So that's a great way for people to get a sense. And then they can ask that question, well, so where does one find a job as a veterinarian? Where does one find a job in that nonprofit? That kind of thing.
Often I have this idea that if you see something that needs done and nobody else is doing it, and you think, I can do that, then just do it. So like,
Exactly.
you don't know the story. I started an Icelandic souvenir company in Iceland a few years ago, and there was no souvenir candy in Iceland at all. And I had just went to visit my family in Scotland, and I had given a big packet of mixed candy to each of my brothers and sisters' families and said, share them amongst your brothers and sisters. And one of my nephews, he said, Auntie Pauline, why are you telling us lies? I went, what do you mean lies? And he said, you said it's Icelandic candy. I went, yeah. And he said, well, how come it says made in Denmark in the small print? And I thought, yeah, it's true. It's like, it wasn't really obvious that it was Icelandic candy, or if there had been like a picture of Eyjafjallajökull on it, that's my big Icelandic word for today, the volcano that erupted in 2010, then you would know, oh yeah, this is Iceland. Or, if it had puffins or Icelandic horses, you would know it was Icelandic. So this gave me the idea to start that and use my arts to make lovely puffin pictures and horse pictures and volcano pictures on the candy. If I hadn't noticed that niche, then I wouldn't have went into it. And also with the menopause morph, I started going through my perimenopause over 10 years ago. And then online, there was almost nothing. Nowadays, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups talking about menopausal support. Grassroots women fed up like myself and saying, where are these answers? But then there was almost nothing. And I thought, no, this is something. And I had a passion because I had such severe symptoms myself. I thought, I can do this. I started doing a show. It's called The Pearls of Pauline, Pearls of Wisdom, Compassion and Joy for Menopausal Women. That's what my passion is. My passion is to sing and perform and help people. So this was and do art. So I was doing everything all rolled up into one big show, which was like talking about passion. It just makes me so happy. But now I have this souvenir candy company. So part of me is saying, I'm trying to help women become healthy. But my bread and butter business is selling sugar, which is really unhealthy. So I have this
But
dichotomy.
you notice how, like what I noticed when you talk about both those businesses, like you really light up, right?
Well, I'm proud of starting that company all by myself in Iceland. Not, my Icelandic is not very good, and navigating all the tax and the rules and the regulations. So I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, so that's what it's like to be passionate, right? Like you really light up, right? And you probably love to go to work on Monday morning. So that's what we want for everybody.
So how does someone make a transition into a more fulfilling career? How can they do it the quickest way and the easiest way?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, it's a major life transition, right? So, so we want to get through that as quickly as we can and really land in the kind of career that we want to be in. Or like in your case, for instance, really, start a business that you really love. And so the best way to make that happen is to get support from, either an accountability partner, like a colleague who's really supportive of you, or a friend that's really supportive, or to, go out there and hire a coach, for instance, somebody who can say, okay, here are the steps you need to take to find the right career and, how to transition into it. So that because it's career transitions in particular, or starting a business, they're fairly complicated, especially the business, but both are fairly complicated processes just in terms of the number of steps and evaluating after each step. Okay, am I headed in the right direction? So at least a colleague or a friend that can be supportive. The best case scenario is to have somebody like a coach or a mentor who can walk you through the steps, who's been through what you're going through, and they can say, okay, now you do this step and this step. So that's the easiest in the fastest way. So you don't, fear comes up, and it's the easiest and the most successful way, from my perspective, to make that career or transition into a business that you really love, so that you can stay on track and you can stop having those health issues, right? And you can have energy at the end of the day.
So if somebody was to come to you for you to be their coach into transitioning to a new thing, what is the process involved? Do they fill out a questionnaire or do you interview them? How does it work?
Yeah, so I do a complimentary life purpose strategy session with people, and I have them fill out an online form, which is at lifepurposestrategysession.com. And, I just want to get a sense of, okay, what's happening right now in their career? What's their vision? Do they have a sense of what kind of career? And then, I get that via email, and then we set up a time on Skype or some other way, telephone, to connect. And, people walk away feeling a lot more hope about the future and with really concrete and creative ideas that they can implement immediately. And so at least I can get them started with 2 or 3 ideas, even if we don't end up working together for some reason.
Okay. What would you say is the biggest mistake that people make when they're transitioning into a new career or even starting a business?
Yeah, so here's this is the big snafu. And I'm going to use, I don't know if you have this saying, even in the US where I'm from, it's not that common, but it's basically this statement that says, don't go to the hardware store for milk.
Okay, yes.
So what that means is, if you're changing careers or if you're starting a business, you're considering making a change. You've got that, there's kind of a light of hope in your heart, right? That life can be better. And it can be, it's just a vulnerable place to be, right? Like you're in the middle of a transition. There's a lot of unknowns out there. Fear typically is coming up, even though you have that little bit of hope. And so it's really, really important to only share your goals around your career or business when you're in the middle of a shift. It's really important to go to other people, like we just talked about, going to a friend or colleague, right, about getting support. Really important to go to people who support you, who are, they're not dream killers. Unfortunately, there are people who, they've stuffed down their dreams their entire lives. And to see a friend or colleague really go for the work they're meant to do reminds them that they have that choice, and it's painful. So, that's my take on it. There's probably other reasons for it too, but you really want to go connect with people and get support from people and just talk through, sometimes we need to just think out loud about, okay, so what should I do next? And here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? You really want to have that process with somebody who is going to be supportive. And I know in particular, when people go to start a business, there's some risks involved, right? You know this, Pauline, right? There are risks involved in starting a business. But there are many people I work with, for instance, who are really unhappy in the work they're meant to do. I can tell, that they have that drive and that personality where they really need to do their own thing. They're big picture people. They want to make the world a better place. And they just have a kind of a stream of jobs where they feel really unhappy, and they just don't see their working environment and the decision making happening as being very functional. And so, especially when you're starting a business, but it's both career and business. But when you're starting a business, because there are so many unknowns, and because the fear is even more when you're thinking about starting a business, and because, there are a lot of businesses that aren't successful, you really, so don't go to the hardware store for milk, right? Don't, talk to people who have started a successful business and have lunch with them or have tea or coffee with them and talk to them about how they got started, right? Those are the people who, are successful in a career or successful in a business, like those informational interviews I was talking about. Those are the people who you can go to who will really help you keep that tiny flame alive at this really critical and really vulnerable point in this transition for you.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky that in Reykjavik here, they have a thing called Startup Community, and they have it in the US, I believe, and hopefully in the UK. And I'm not sure about other countries, but mostly in startup communities, it's tech. But I went because they're teaching you all different aspects about starting up a business. And I thought, well, it doesn't matter if it's tech or if it's candy, it's still a business and you still need to know the rules for the tax and how to register a company and things like that. And actually, I got some of my greatest help from members of that community. So that would be something that I would recommend to people to join. And even the guy who is head of that tech community, when he gives talks, he mentions me as an example. And he said, oh, people think startup community is only to do with tech. Well, let me tell you this story about this woman who was an immigrant to Iceland. And she was in her, I was 52, so it was in her 50s. And then he goes on and tells the story of it. And then one time I was at some other conference talking and somebody said, oh, you're the lady that he was talking about. And I tell you, another place where I get a lot of help was in the Rotary Club. Because the Rotary Club, is all business people. So even if you're not a member of the Rotary Club, you can just contact them and just say, I'm wanting to start this business and could I come along and talk to your members and maybe they could give me some advice, because the whole point in the Rotary Club is that they want to help society. So I'm sure they would be very happy to do that.
Yeah, so those are two great examples of finding mentors, for sure. On
your website or in your Facebook group, could people write questions and ask? Do you have like a community there where people can ask a question and would it be just you answering or would there be others in the group answering? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like, so if somebody had a question like, oh, I really want to start my own hairdressing company. I've never been trained as a hairdresser, but I do it at home. I've been cutting my kids' hairs and I've got a flair for it, but I don't know where to start. And can somebody give me advice? So a question like that, would there be anybody there that could help them with something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm the host of the Facebook group. And so I watch on a daily basis, several times a day. I go in and I love it when people post those questions because there's so many other people in the group that can also be helped by the answers. So I will contribute and answer questions, and then other people that are also in the group. There's about 500 people in the group right now who are, really want to make the world a better place and really want to plug into their passion and their purpose and create that career or business. And so, yes, that's a great idea actually, is to go into the group and the passion and purpose, create a career you love community. It's on Facebook, and definitely post a question in there about anything having to do with career or business.
Well, I'm going to put that in the show notes because it's quite a long name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, you do some webinars. Could you tell us about them?
So I do a lot of Facebook Live video talks inside that Facebook group, inside the Passion and Purpose Create a Career You Love community on Facebook. And today I actually talked about, it was about a 20-minute talk about new business owners who will often build an online, try to sell things online right away rather than building that strong foundation first, and how that can be a mistake. And then last week I talked about how to turn your life experience into a career so you don't have to go back to school and you can start fulfilling your life purpose now. So those are, thank you for that question. Those are Facebook Live events that are, people see them live, but then they're posted in that Passion and Purpose group so that you can go and find the videos on a number of different topics right in that group. It's all free.
So if people want to get in contact with you personally, what would be the best way? Through your website or through Facebook, or which way?
Yeah, probably the best way. I can give you my email address. It's Cornelia, which is CORNELIA at corneliawarddone.com. So they can always email me, or they can go into the ihelppeoplelovemondays.com website, download my book, and that'll get them into the Facebook group, and then we can start connecting there. And I often will set up a kind of a welcome call to new members of the group.
So that's wonderful. People can get the book, which I downloaded today, or I'm going to have a look at tonight, and your Facebook group, Passion and Purpose. Create a Career You Love community is a great place for people who want to make the world a better place to gather and connect. So I'll put that on the show notes. So are there any last words you would like to give our listeners?
The only thing I would say is fear is going to come up when you're in the middle of a transition and when you're thinking about making a change, and everything you want is on the other side of fear. I forget who said that, but it's really true. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. So when fear comes up, it doesn't mean stop. It just means, just take one step, get that support that you need. But really, I think especially now all over the world, the world really needs our gifts and talents. And so please don't hold back. Whatever it is that you're meant to do in the world, please don't hold back.
Well, if I had held back, there wouldn't be any menopause Morph online, would there?
That's right. That's right.
And I'm so grateful that you're offering your community for people to help, because it's not everybody is as mad as I am and just jump in there. And often people are very scared and they need somebody to hold their hand, don't they? So Cornelia, I've been really happy to have you on here today. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, Pauline. So fun.
Thank you. And next week, ladies, it's back to Pauline. I'll be giving some words of wisdom next week. Some pearls of Pauline. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Menopause Morph, your time to change. If you've enjoyed the program, be sure to subscribe to the next one and please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help us spread the message about thriving through the menopause. To get a free ebook, more menopausal resources, and to connect with Pauline, please visit www.menopausemorph.com.